your questions in, right? When passing on one way, what's a good way to see around the car? You got to look ahead. You got to learn to look around the car, in front of the car. A lot of you will drive really fast or really slow once you're learning how to drive. And it depends on the area you're in. If you live in a mountainous area, you're kind of used to the mountains. If you live in a high traffic area, you're really going to avoid high traffic. From what I've seen and talked to students who are ready to take their road tests, either your parents are going to embrace you and say, hey, let's drive, or they're going to say, hey, you're not ready to drive, and we're going to let you sit till you're 16 and a half, 17 and a half, 18 and a half. And that's when it really gets kind of sketchy because you're going to go to college. You're either going to go to community college or you're going to go to a four-year institution, and you have to learn how to drive. So safety comes with experience. And the more you drive, you can make a good decision. When you're a beginner, you're just going to go out there and drive really fast and hope that that gets you where you need to go. But it's not always like that. And you got to go slow before you can go fast. You have to crawl before you can walk. If you have parents who are impatient, you're going to feel a lot of pressure immediately, and you're not going to want to drive. If you are shy and kind of, not really social, that might inhibit you a little bit. Your friend group, they're going to know how to drive, and they're going to be like, I'm not ready, or, I didn't do good in driver's ed, whatever excuse you make. So it's really social because all of you are under 21. All of you live for interaction with your friends, and you should, because your friends are important. And so safety comes through with experience. Roundabouts. How do you know how to go into a roundabout? You have to practice it with your parent on your own. If you don't drive on heavy roads, you won't know what to do. So it comes with practice. I like the question. What's the best way to memorize interstates? You don't memorize them, you understand them. I'll say it again. You don't memorize them, you have to understand them. Okay? So 7 is an odd number. Okay? You have to understand the route system. And if you don't drive out of state, you'll get lost. If you're going to go to New York, Cedar Point, Chicago, Wisconsin. So a lot of you will just drive in the state. You won't drive out of state. You have no need to. Most of your family lives in state. So you have to understand the signs instead of memorizing them because the numbers change drastically. So just being honest, you might not want to get the answer that you think, but you have to understand where you're going. You need to understand north and south, east and west. Why is it not, hold on, let's see here. Why is it not advisable to pass on a straight white line? Because you will cut off traffic, Isabella. The broken line is there to allow you to pass. Example, there are zebra lines. There's a solid white line. So if you cross that solid white line, in some states or municipalities, you're breaking the law. So example, you're merging on expressway. You cross that solid white line before the line is broken. You cut off a car. They hit you, it's your fault. So that's why the lines are there. Once the line is broken, you can pass. Good question, honest answer. Let's keep going. How do you clarify whether or not interstate goes the numbers, the video? Let's rewind. Let's take a look. Okay. North, south have odd numbers. It's right there in front of you. So Morgan, I just explained to you with the video. North, south have odd numbers. I-75 7 is an odd number. It runs north and south. Okay? So I just clarified with a video. Okay? And if you don't understand the numbering system, you're going to get lost. Love that. Great question. Let's keep going. Okay, I answered the same question. Are odd interstates numbered the same way in different states? The answer is no. They are confusing. In New York, they're different. In Pennsylvania, they're different. In Connecticut, they're different. Every state is different because every state has different routes, different interstates. Okay. So that's a very good question. So that's why some of you won't go to different states because the numbers are different. But if you understand north, south, east, and west, the numbers won't matter. I like that you answered that question and I gave you an honest answer. It does become easier once you drive. But if you don't drive, remember, I had my segment 2 class yesterday. These are kids who are 16, 17, almost 18. I talked to one young lady. She should have her 50 hours. She has 20. And I said to her, how come you don't have 50 hours and you're 17? Well, I'm taking a lot of AP classes and I don't have the time. She doesn't have the time to learn how to drive. She's not putting driving ahead. So she's a teenager just like you. Please put more questions in. So you have to make driving a priority. If you don't make driving a priority, it's not important. And you're going to be 19 or 17 and a half and graduate from high school. Now you need to make a decision. Your parents are not going to hold your hand and take you to college or community college. You can't take an Uber or Lyft. It costs too much money and you don't have a job. So for some of you, your parents are going to push you out and say, listen, you need to drive. We're not taking you anywhere anymore. And some of you, that's going to be the case. Others of you will want to drive. So the more you drive, the more you recognize signs, pavement markings, signals. If you don't drive a lot, you won't recognize it. So this is why the first 5 hours of driving or 10 hours are very overwhelming because you don't know where you're going. You're just relying on your mom or your dad. You kind of know how to get to your high school because that's familiar. You kind of know how to get home because you look at familiar things. But outside of about a 20-mile radius, you don't know where you're going because you don't really drive outside of about 20 miles. Please put in more questions. Does every interstate follow? I've already answered that question. It's different from every state. If you don't believe me, type it in, look it up for yourself. I always love when students do their own research. Every state has different numbering systems. Okay. What if someone cuts out in front of the lane too quickly? You hit them, or they hit you, or you are a good defensive driver and you don't let that happen. So that's a very pure question. You have to be a defensive driver. What if the driver didn't see you? What if they were eating food? What if their dog jumped on them? So you always have to expect someone to make a mistake. That is so true. Okay. So that's where you have to be a defensive driver. All drivers aren't paying attention. All drivers aren't in good physical shape. Okay. All drivers are not paying attention. Some drivers have anxiety. Some of you have anxiety right now. So everyone has a different situation. Some of you are going to take your AP test. Some of you have a college recruiter who might get you into college. Some of you have your first job and you're so happy and you run a light and hit a car. So my answer to you, expect someone to cut you off. Cover your brake, leave more room. Don't just pull out in front of a car. A lot of you would do that. And I mentioned one of your classmates almost got hit because he didn't look to the left and then a car came by. So you have to prioritize safety first. And usually if you're late, you're going to make more mistakes. So expect someone to cut you off. Avoid, leave room, drive around them, don't panic. So I gave you a real life answer, G. I love the question. Put in more questions. What happened if someone ran to light? Keegan, you know the answer to that. They're going to die. There's going to be an accident. You're going to get a ticket. That's what happens if someone runs a light. They're going to die. They're going to get hit. They're going to hit someone. They're going to get a ticket, or nothing will happen that time. But more intersections have cameras. More intersections have license plate readers. So I'm letting you know this. that you're smart enough to know that what happens if you run a yellow light. And if you run a light on your road test, you're going to fail. If you run a light with me, you won't drive with me because I have to prioritize safety first. So it's real. I love the question, and I gave you an honest answer. How can I check my tires for tread depth? Use a quarter. And the tread should be near the head, right? If your tires are bald, then when it rains, you're going to slide all over the road. It's going to increase your stopping distance. You're going to have a greater chance of getting a flat tire. So that's where getting a job. That's where rotating your tires. You should rotate your front tires to the back. Your front tires do all the turning. So, and then of course, we're going to have snow very soon too. Just going back, making sure all of you should have put questions in. Talked about the interstate. It changes from state to state. If you don't believe me, look it up. Hawaii is different than Texas. Texas is different than Nebraska. Nebraska is different than New York. New York is different than Michigan. Connecticut is different than Washington. Okay? But some interstates run through different states. I-75 runs through multiple states. I-94 runs through multiple states. Put more questions in. I'm just looking through. I talked about the white line. You need to understand the interstate instead of memorizing. We talked about passing around a vehicle. You need to have room. How does it work getting a ticket in your state, visiting for a short time? Okay, James, if you get a ticket, say you're speeding, say you're doing 60 and you're doing 60 and a 55. You get a ticket. And let's use Ohio as an example. You pay on the spot. If you don't pay on the spot, you go to jail. I'll say it again. James, let's pretend you got a ticket. Ohio has very strict speed limits. You go 60 and 55, you get a ticket. If you don't pay on the spot, they impound your car, you go to jail. That's good enough for you to understand, man, they're strict. Yes, they are. In other states, if you get a ticket, you have 30 days to either fight it and go to court, or you're going to pay it. You can pay it online. And some states have points. Points go on your driving record. This is when your parents get really mad at you because car insurance is very expensive and you need your parents because you're not working yet. Your parents provided a car for you, insurance, they feed you, they put clothes on your back. All they ask that you do is you have good grades and stay out of trouble. And for some of you, you can't do that because I used to be a probation officer. Some of you will never get in trouble with the law. So you have to stay out of trouble. Trouble is very easy to get into, and you'll find that out. There are a lot of cultural problems, and some of your friends will never get a license because their parents don't trust them. So you get a ticket. That ticket goes on your permit number, and then it goes in the system, whether it's Texas, Michigan, Nebraska. If you don't pay it in a certain amount of time, there's going to be a bench warrant issued for you. Meaning, if you don't pay the ticket, they're going to set a bench warrant for your arrest. Let's pretend you run a light again. You get speeding ticket. They're going to run your license and your driving record. Hey, do you know you have a warrant for your arrest? Oh, I didn't know that. Get out of the car. They're going to arrest you, take you to jail, impound your car. The ticket will come home. So if you get a ticket, you might as well just tell your parent, Mom, Dad, I got a ticket, I'm sorry. Okay, well, you're going to have to pay this. If you get pulled over, you're scared, your heart's beating, they might give you a warning. They might not. They're going to pull you over, keep your hands on the dashboard. They're going to ask for your license, registration, proof of insurance. You might get a warning, you might not. Okay? Ticket stays on about 2 years or 3 years. Every state's different. All right, type in what you learned, please. Type in what you learned. Type in what you learned. Please go ahead and do that right now. All of you type in what you learned. Keep inputting questions in. I think it's really important that you know how to drive. You want to learn how to drive. Type in what you learned, please. I'm going to get you another video. Type in what you learned. It's really important that you understand that we're here trying to educate people, and a lot of you are saying random stuff and it's not important. If you're here to learn how to drive, I'm going to help you. If you're here playing, then just leave, because we're here to learn how to drive. And put questions in that are intelligent, because I think most of you are tuning into this live because we're trying to teach adults and teens how to drive. We're really trying to keep it real. So that's extremely important. That's about self-awareness. And that's really what it's all about, self-awareness. And I think good people give you an avenue. And I think this platform is really good to help you all learn. And when you learn, you become great. Knowledge is power. And that's really important to help you understand about knowledge. And getting your mental mindset and really preparing yourself for the next journey. And that's becoming a good driver. And this really helps you grow. This really helps you get better. It helps you understand. And there's a wide variety of information you can put in. And put in your question, what's the most important thing about knowing to drive? Safety. Being safe, making good decisions, not rushing into the process, really understanding how to get better, really understanding what you need to do to become a good driver, and then trusting someone to help you. A lot of young adults don't drive because they don't want to, and they're not really encouraged to. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of people don't want to drive. It's not important to them. Post-COVID, it's not important to them. They don't want to drive at all. I do see that quite a bit also too. Whereas a lot of people who tune in have some general questions. If you have a good instructor, that's really going to help you. If you have a bad instructor, that's going to hold you back and take you a lot longer to learn how to drive. I do see that also too. Because if you are not serious about driving, you'll never get out there. Because a lot of people just are not motivated to, for whatever reason. And we're going to talk about some signs. Put more questions in. Okay, we are looking at some signs right now. All of these signs are significantly important. I think the stop sign, a lot of people take that for granted. And if you get a stop sign ticket, that's a moving violation, 2 points. So stop signs are the most important. And then for all of you guys, school zone and pedestrian crossing, all of them are very important. And if you park in a reserved parking spot, reserved for handicap, they're going to tow your car. All this is really avoidable. Okay, we're just looking through some information. Blue and white signs are guide signs. Hospital. This is a prohibitory sign. You can't make a left turn. You got to identify these signs. And then let's talk about this because I think it's really important. And put in questions as we go along. So driving is a privilege, not a right. Your license can be taken away. I think a lot of beginning drivers think, hey, once I get my license, they can't take it away. That's not true. The biggest thing that drivers mess up on is lack of self-confidence. Okay? So most states in the United States have a graduated licensing system. You have a level 1, you have a level 2. Okay? I'm going through this because you need this, and then we'll see some more videos. And put questions in as I go along. So level 1, all of you taking that level 1. Now, this is where a lot of you will fall off. You got to have 30 hours in 3 months. So you got to have 30 hours of supervised driving. Your mom, your dad. Give me 1 second, please. Can you hear me? Pam. Pam. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so all states in the United States have a graduated license. In New York, you're going to have a junior license. You can't get your full license until you're 18. Drivers mess up on lack of control. They go over the speed limit. Level 3, this is when you can have your full license. You need to be at least 17. So every state's different. You got to have a graduated licensing system. And Ohio and Florida are passing laws. If you are under 21, you have to come back and get more training. There's your chauffeur's license, commercial driver's license, moped license, and motorcycle endorsement. You need to be able to go through and take a test. If you want to ride a motorcycle, you got to do a motorcycle training. Okay, you want to drive a chauffeur, be a chauffeur's license, you got to take training. We all share the HTS. That's the Highway Transportation System. Beginning drivers mess up on speed control, being and having anxiety and not trusting their ability, and they don't get out and have enough experience. They just panic. So you got to go slow. Thank you. Next, we got to share the HTS. That's the Highway Transportation System. Ignorance is no excuse. Okay, put your questions in as I go along, and I want to keep going. Good, I'm looking at what you put in. If you move to a different state, yes, you need to get a new license. And yeah, if you live in Hawaii and you move to Texas and you plan to stay there for a long time, you're going to have to get, because look, in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, your license will expire. So if your license expires, then you need to take the test over. Okay. You'll be at that when you're 17 or when you have your hours. And we'll talk about that. So look, pedestrians always have the right of way. They are unpredictable. Children are the most vulnerable. The elderly and physically handicapped move very slow. No, you'll be 17 when you have that segment 3. Type it in. It's every 4 years. Type it in. When does your license expire? Type it in. Why do our licenses expire? Alexis, the state wants your money. The state wants your money. Okay? Every 4 years. You've got to go in and take an eye test so look it up. Type in, when does your license expire? Okay? Now you're talking about license plate or your license. Your license, type it in, not your license plate. Okay, look, your license plate, your tag, you have a tag that has your birth date and the month. Every year, you need to get a new tag, okay? That's how the state makes money. No matter where you are in the country, your license plate is registered to you or your mom or your dad, okay? And on your birth date or before your birth date, you have to get a new license tag, okay? Your license plate does not expire. Your driver's license does not expire. Okay. Animals, unpredictable. They are always out on the road. If you're deaf, does it say on your license, you will have a handicap license plate? Very good. To let drivers know. And probably on your license, you may have something that signifies that. Okay. You can still drive when you're deaf, but you need to have some other information to let other drivers know, okay? But I think that will qualify probably as a handicap, okay? I don't know, what if you are deaf and you have a handicap plate? Well, look it up, type it in. Type it into the internet, Type it in. Use our state. See what they say. Because in whatever driver must know, they'll tell you. So type it in. Okay, large animals. I like the question, so you want clarification, type it in. Type in our state, type in this question, and put it in the chat. If your right leg is broken, you can't drive because you're probably in a cast. It depends on your comfort. I would say it's probably a little bit dangerous. It depends on you. But I think if your leg is freshly broken, you don't want to drive. If your left leg is broken, you don't drive with your left leg. You drive with your right leg, and you pivot your foot between the gas and brake. Okay? Take a look. Okay. A license test before I'm 16. I have all my hours. Do I get my license on my birthday? That depends on when you did segment 1. That depends on when you went to Secretary of State. That depends on when you have your hours. It all depends on you. Everyone is a little bit different. You might be 16.1, 16.5, 16.7. Okay? It depends. No one answer fits everyone because we each were born on a different date. And we'll look that up. Bicyclists, they use the roadway too. The tests take anywhere from 45 minutes. Can I take my level 2 before I'm 16? The answer, yes, you can take your level 2 before you're 16, but you can't take your road test until you have 50 hours of driving and you're 16. Look up whatever driver must know, and we'll look at that. I'm not in New Jersey, but I can look that up. So I don't want to give you misinformation. I'm not in New Jersey, but the rules are similar. Some states have more hours, some states have less hours, okay? So I need all of you right now. Let's pretend you're in the state of Georgia. How many hours of driving do you need, and how old can you be to take your test? Type it in, okay? All of you pick a state: Georgia, Tennessee, Nebraska, Michigan, Florida. Every state is different. So type it in. Do your search right now, type it into the chat. School buses, you always want to give them extra room. Okay, type it in. How long after segment 1 can you take segment 2? 3 months. You can't take it any earlier. Okay, you have to be on level 1 for 3 calendar months. Let's pretend you go to Secretary of State tomorrow. Let's talk about this. Can't give me. Okay, it's October 22nd, November 22nd, December 22nd, January 22nd. 3 months from now is 2026, January 22nd. 3 months from now. But the class is not done. Your driving is not done. When your driving is done, the paperwork is turned in when you go to Secretary of State and get your level 1. It depends on your hours. It depends on when you're allowed to drive. I'm not a surgeon. Everyone heals differently. You have to have documented hours. There's an app called Road Ready. Love the questions. Okay. Emergency vehicles, get out of their way. Work zones, speed limit is 45. Be on the test. And we'll switch to every driver must know in a moment. As a driver, you should learn to abide by the safety rules, traffic, work zones, merges, roundabouts, construction. I'm gonna get up wherever driver must know. Give me 1 second. I love the questions. Keep the questions coming in. Keep your questions coming in, guys. We're learning, and in about 15 minutes, we'll switch it up. And then we'll answer your questions because it's very cut and dry. The state has rules, and you have to be a certain age and have a certain number of hours. If you don't have the age, you're too young, or you're too old and you don't have the hours. For instance, we have 2 students in here who are 17. They're older than you, but they don't have the hours of driving. They have to wait. They're going to have their license probably when they're 18. Some of you are young. Your birth date is not till next December. You're going to wait. But you have to have your driving hours. Keep the questions coming in. Give me 1 second. Keep your questions coming, guys. Love it. Okay, here's what every driver must know. Every state has this, okay? So some of you have questions about this, and let's go ahead and open it up, right? Whether you're in Hawaii, Michigan, Texas, Florida, this is your driver's education guideline Bible, right? So let's break this down. Okay, you have questions about segment 1, segment 2. Let's go right to it. Okay, in order to be enrolled in a driver's education class at our location, you need to be 14 years, 8 months. All of you are 14 years, 8 months. Some of you are older. Some of you are 15, 15, 2, 16, 17. Okay, so in order to be enrolled, you need to be 14, 8. All of you know that. That shouldn't be a problem. In order to be enrolled in segment 1, you got to have 24 hours of class. Okay, you have to have 6 hours of driving and 4 hours of observation. All of you should understand that. You need to get a minimum of 70% on the state exam. All of you should understand that. Let me, hold on. Okay, if you understand what I just put in, and then we'll talk about disabilities, okay? Now, keep it simple. All of you have to take segment 2. That's just the way it is, okay? Let's talk about segment 2. To apply, you must present a driving log of at least 30 hours, supervised driving, including 2 hours at night. If you're trying to get in segment 2 and see me in 3 months, you got to have 30 hours in 3 months, okay? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go back. Thank you for telling me. Segment 1, all of you are in segment 1 right now. To get into driver's ed, you got to be 14 years, 8 months. All of you understand that. Okay? You got to have 24 hours of class. You got to have 6 hours of driving, 4 hours watching someone. No problem. All of you understand that. Let's go to segment 2. And I just need you to understand it. There's no way around it. Segment 2. In order to take segment 2 to apply, you must present a driving log. This is either through an app or on paper of supervised driving. You drove with your mom, your dad, uncle, auntie, someone over 21 years old. Okay, someone 21 or older. And 2 hours at night with your parent, guardian, or designated adult. You please listen. All you got to do is listen, so I'm going to go back to this. Okay? You must have held your level 1 license for at least 3 consecutive months. Okay? 3 consecutive months. If it hasn't been 3 consecutive months, you can't take segment 2. Okay? 9 hours, no. You only get 1 hour per time you drive. I drive 3 students. You don't get 3 hours observation. You get 1, okay? So you get 1. I think a lot of you are like, I got 9 hours of observation. No, it doesn't work like that. Driver's education segment 2. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm good. So Alexa says she can't hear me. So you gave me a thumbs up. All right, segment 2. You want to get into segment 2, you have to have had your level 1 for 3 months, and you have to have 30 hours. If you understand that, put yes into the chat. If you understand that, put yes in. Okay? So, in order to be eligible for segment 2, you have to have had your level 1 for 3 months. You go to Secretary of State, that's when they print you out your level 1 certificate, and then time starts. Let's pretend you waited 30 days, you got your digital certificate. You can't count those 30 days. You got to go to Secretary of State as soon as you can, okay? And start driving. Okay, what is segment 2? Let's talk about this. Segment 2, 6 hours of class, no driving. You take a state examination. That's segment 2. All you got to do is listen because some of you are different ages. Okay, the driving skills test. Everyone's a different age. To apply, you must be at least 15. Okay, some of you have an early birthday. Some of your parents got you in right at 14, right at 14.8. They got you right in at 14.8. You're young. They want you to drive. That's good. Okay. To apply, you must be at least 15, have completed segment 2, along with a minimum of 50 hours. Some people could do this. If you're one of those people, as soon as they turn 14.8, I'm in driver's ed. I'm getting all my hours. Okay? There's some people who really are on top of that. Some people are not. Some people don't care. And including 10 hours at night. You must have held your level 1 certificate for 6 months. That's a half a year. So if you're 15, you're going to be 15 and a half. If you're 15.9, you can do the math. So you're going to end up being 16. You will need to present your completed level 1 driving log, your level 1 learner's permit. Okay. Segment 2, intermediate. You're in between 16 and 17. To apply, you must be at least 16. Got to be 16. You can't be 15. Have held your level 1 for at least 6 months. Had no violations, no crashes for the 90-day preceding your license application. Okay. So it's pretty much laid out here for you. A lot of kids are like, well, what if I'm 16.9? What if I'm 16.3? Okay. Put some questions in. Okay, it's all laid out here for you, but a lot of you don't take the time to look at this. The bottom line is the way the state's set up across all states, you got to drive minimum 3 months. Put in some of the other states. Type is, how old do you have to be in Texas to get your license? Or you don't have to be. How old do you have to be in Florida? Type it in. How many hours of driving do you need? You're going to be surprised. When do you do Georgia? When do you do Texas? When do you do Washington, D.C.? When do you do Connecticut? Ohio. Okay, they're changing the laws. How many hours of observation do you need for segment 1? Observation, segment 1, it's right up here. Let's look at what they say. Because it's right here. It says it right here. A minimum of 6 hours behind the wheel and a minimum of 4 hours observation in a training vehicle. Okay? In a training vehicle. So it says it right there. You're in a driver's ed car. The driver's ed car is like a special, it is a special car. It's got a brake on the passenger side. It's got a mirror. Okay. Oh, some people are doing research. I love this. In PA, you got to be 16 and have 65 hours. Thank you, Cameron. Alaska, 16. Any hours? In Washington, D.C., you have to be at least 17 years old and apply for your full license. Massachusetts, 16. Good. A lot of states, you need to be 15 to just get your permit. So you need to be appreciative. I like that. 30 hours. In Florida, you need to be 16 to get a proper license. Illinois, 50 hours. Like that. Okay, I need you to subscribe to the channel, smash the bell notification. If you feel this is valuable, you will subscribe and you'll feel like, hey, I learned a lot. Thank you.